Do nothing after this, and watch how everything falls into place. There comes a moment in life when you've done all you can do in the outer world, every effort made, every plan drawn, every door knocked upon, yet the thing you seek still seems just beyond your grasp. It is here, in this sacred space between desire and manifestation, that the greatest secret is revealed. You are not meant to force the unfolding, you are meant to rest in it. The world has taught you to hustle, to chase, to push against the currents, but creation itself moves in a rhythm far more elegant than effort. It moves in harmony with your inner state. The moment you dare to release the struggle, to stop trying to bend life to your will, and instead dwell in the inner certainty that it is already done, the unseen begins to arrange every detail in your favor. Like a master weaver, the invisible thread of your assumption begins to pull the events, people, and opportunities together into the tapestry of your desire. This is not laziness, this is alignment. And when you learn to rest in this truth, you will see how life, without your interference, will place every piece exactly where it belongs. The power of stillness. There is a sacred strength in stillness, a quiet authority that surpasses all outward effort. The world has trained you to believe that constant action, relentless striving, and tireless pursuit are the only ways to bring your desires into reality. You've been told that if you aren't moving, you're falling behind. Yet the truth of creation is the opposite. It is not in the frantic motion of the body that your future is shaped, but in the silent conviction of your inner being. The moment you stop scrambling in the outer world and turn your attention inward, you step into the true seat of power. Stillness is not idleness. It is not the absence of movement. It is the presence of knowing. It is the confident stillness of a seed resting in the dark soil, aware that its growth is inevitable, not because it strains toward the sun, but because life itself propels it upward in due time. When you deliberately choose stillness after planting the seed of your desire, you are making a declaration to the universe. It is already done. This is not a stillness born from exhaustion or despair. It is not giving up. It is the stillness that comes when you know the outcome is secure, when you feel the reality of it so deeply within that you no longer need proof from the outer world. In that moment, you are no longer the seeker. You are the possessor. And possession on the inside always precedes possession on the outside. Stillness, in its truest form, is an inner act. Your body may be moving through daily life, but your inner world remains unshaken. You carry the end result within you like a sacred treasure. The phone may not ring yet, the door may not have opened yet, the account may not be full yet, but in your inner awareness it is already yours. That is the stillness that changes everything. The mind will resist at first, whispering that you need to do more, that you should try harder, that time is running out. This is the voice of the old self, the self that believes reality is controlled from the outside in. But stillness trains you to operate from the inside out. When you are still inwardly, you shift from reaction to creation. You no longer respond to appearances. You command appearances by remaining anchored in your desired state. Imagine a king who, upon hearing a storm outside the palace, does not run to the window in panic, but remains on his throne, certain that the fortress will stand. That is the posture of stillness, ruling from within. It is not passive. It is the most deliberate position you can take. You are telling life, I will not move from this inner knowing, no matter what the outer world shows me. The beauty of stillness is that it is magnetic. The more you dwell in it, the more you draw into your world everything that matches your inner state. This is why frantic action so often fails. When you act from desperation, you radiate lack, and lack begets more lack. But when you act from stillness, even the smallest movement is charged with power because it is backed by certainty. People can feel it, situations respond to it, and opportunities align with it. To enter this stillness, you must first quiet the noise of doubt. Doubt thrives on movement, on the constant search for signs, the restless checking for progress. But when you resist the urge to look for evidence, you deny doubt its fuel. Instead, you return to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. You close your eyes and live, even if just for a moment, as though the desire were already complete. You walk in your mind through the halls of your new home. You hear the congratulations for your promotion. You feel the warmth of your healed body. You see the balance in your account. And then you rest, you let it be. That is stillness. Many fear that if they stop doing, nothing will happen. But stillness is not about doing nothing in life. It is about doing nothing to force or control the outcome. You still live, you still work, you still move through the world, but you no longer take action from a place of fear. Instead, every action that arises from stillness comes from inspiration, not desperation. You will be prompted at the perfect time to make the right move, speak the right word, or take the right step. And when you do, it will be effortless. The bridge of incidents will carry you without strain. Stillness also protects you from sabotage, both from yourself and from others. When you are frantic, you are easily swayed by opinions, setbacks, and appearances. But when you are still inwardly, nothing can uproot your conviction. People may doubt you, circumstances may delay you, but you will not be moved. This unshakable stance communicates to life itself that you are ready to receive. You are not begging, you are claiming. Think of the ocean. On the surface, it may rage with waves, but deep beneath there is perfect calm. That deep calm is your true self. When you live from that depth, the surface conditions, whether stormy or serene, do not dictate your state. The power is not in reacting to the waves, but in remaining anchored in the still waters below. That is how creation works, and here is the paradox. The moment you truly embrace stillness, life begins to move faster in your favor. The outer world rearranges itself with a precision and speed that no amount of effort could match. Why? Because stillness aligns you with the reality where your desire already exists, and from there it has no choice but to appear. You are not waiting for it, it is catching up to you. So, if you have been striving, pushing, or exhausting yourself trying to make something happen, hear this: stop, not in defeat, but in faith. Lay down the heavy armor of effort, and stand in the stillness of victory. Decide now that you will no longer chase, but choose. You will no longer plead, but possess. You will no longer wrestle with the how, but rest in the done. Stillness is the language of the unseen. It speaks to the invisible forces that shape your reality. When you are still, you declare to the universe, I trust you. And trust is the highest form of action you can take in the spiritual realm. For in that trust, you make room for the miraculous. You open the door for life to exceed your expectations, to bring about your desire in ways more beautiful and perfect than you could have planned. In the end, the power of stillness is not something you practice once. It is a way of being. It is living each day with the quiet confidence that what you have seen within will soon be seen without. It is walking through the world not as one in search of a miracle, but as one who carries the miracle already. And when you master this art, you will find that you do not need to chase life. Life will chase surrender to the end result. There is a moment, after you have imagined with clarity and felt with conviction, when the greatest act you can take is to let go. This is the point where many lose their way, because they mistake surrender for passivity, or they believe that letting go means abandoning their desire altogether. But true surrender is not resignation, it is alignment. It is the deep inner decision to hand over the how and the when to the unseen intelligence that governs all things, while you remain rooted in the what and the why. You have already seen the end in your mind, you have already lived it in your imagination, and you have already felt it in your heart. Now you release the grip of control and trust that life will bridge the gap between where you stand and where your vision lies. This surrender is not weakness, it is the ultimate display of strength, for it takes far more courage to trust in the invisible than to cling to the visible. When you surrender to the end result, you shift from creator in effort to creator in rest. You have already placed your order with the unseen, and you now refuse to open the oven door every 2 minutes to check if the cake is baking. You know it is. You don't need proof because the proof already lives inside you. Every time you imagine and feel the fulfillment of your desire, you are stepping into its reality. The work, then, is to hold that state with ease, not with strain. Surrender is the art of letting your assumption become your home, the place you live in mentally and emotionally, until the outer world has no choice but to reflect it back to you. The difficulty for most is that surrender feels unnatural in a world that teaches control. We have been conditioned to believe that every outcome must be forced, negotiated, and manipulated, but the very act of forcing sends a signal that you do not yet believe you have it. When you push, you declare that the thing is still out of reach, and you keep it there. Surrender, on the other hand, says, "It is already mine, I can rest now." This rest is not idleness, it is living from the end, moving through your days with the quiet assurance of someone who already possesses what they once desired. It is the smile that plays on your lips for no apparent reason, the lightness in your step, the peace that radiates from you without explanation. Surrender to the end result requires one key decision. You must stop rehearsing failure in your mind. Every time you imagine delays, obstacles, or disappointment, you are planting seeds of a harvest you do not want. Instead, you feed only the image of fulfillment. You imagine the conversation where someone congratulates you. You imagine holding the keys, signing the contract, embracing the person, reading the good news, and then, once you have felt it deeply enough to know it is yours, you drop it. You stop digging up the seed to see if it has sprouted. You stop wondering if the process is working. It is working the moment you plant it and leave it to grow. Life has a way of weaving the perfect series of events once you release the need to dictate each step. This is what many refer to as the bridge of incidents, the unseen choreography of people, opportunities, and moments that lead you from where you are to the fulfillment of your desire. The beauty is that you do not need to know what these steps are. In fact, if you try to plan them, you often slow the process down. The most miraculous manifestations are often those that arrive through paths you never could have predicted. You might meet a person in an unexpected place who holds the key to your next opportunity. A sudden change in circumstances might appear disruptive at first, only to reveal itself as the doorway to your desire. Surrender allows you to be carried by this current instead of fighting against it. The mind will resist surrender because it craves control. It will whisper fears. What if it doesn't work? What if you're wasting time? What if you need to do more? This is where faith steps in, not faith as a vague hope, but faith as a living certainty. You silence the noise of the mind by returning again and again to the inner feeling of it is done. You speak to yourself as though it has already happened. You walk as though it has already happened. You treat yourself as the person who already has the thing, because in truth you do. The outer manifestation is simply the delayed echo of your inner assumption. Consider the way sunlight travels. You can look up and see the sun, but the light you are seeing left it several minutes ago. You are witnessing the past, even though it feels present. In the same way, the reality you experience today is the delayed effect of what you assumed and felt in the past. If you want a new future, you must first see it and feel it now. And once you do, you surrender, knowing it will appear in its appointed time, just as surely as the sun will rise tomorrow. Surrender also frees you from the exhausting cycle of emotional highs and lows. When you are attached to controlling the process, every small change in circumstances can send you into elation or despair. But when you surrender to the end, you become steady. A delay does not shake you, because you know the outcome is inevitable. A closed door does not discourage you, because you understand that the right door is already open in the unseen. You stop needing to be reassured by appearances because your assurance comes from within. And perhaps the most profound gift of surrender is that it creates space for something even better than you imagined. When you fixate on controlling the process, you limit life to delivering only what you can conceive. But when you release your grip, you make room for the infinite to surprise you. Many have testified that what they received after surrendering was far greater, richer, and more beautiful than the original desire. This is because the unseen sees the whole picture while we see only fragments. By surrendering, you allow the complete masterpiece to unfold. So how do you practice this surrender in daily life? It begins with awareness. Notice when you are slipping into worry, overthinking, or trying to control every detail. Pause, breathe, remind yourself of the end you have already chosen. Return to the feeling of it being done, and then release it again. Speak to life itself if you wish. It is finished. I thank you for it. Then move through your day without looking over your shoulder. You will know you are truly surrendered when you feel a sense of relief, a lightness, as though a heavy weight has been lifted from you. Surrender does not mean you will never take action. It means that every action you take will be inspired rather than forced. You will be prompted, often in subtle ways, to take steps that feel natural and effortless. You will find yourself in the right place at the right time without even trying. This is the dance between you and the unseen. You imagine and feel, you surrender, and then you respond to the opportunities that flow your way. To surrender to the end result is to declare once and for all that you are done questioning, done doubting, done pushing. You have seen it within, and that is enough. You live as though the delivery is certain, because it is. And the beautiful irony is that the moment you stop chasing it, it starts chasing you. Life in its infinite wisdom has been waiting for you to stop grasping so it could place the blessing directly into your hands. The bridge of incidence will appear once you have planted the seed of your desire in the fertile ground of your imagination and surrendered to the certainty of its fulfillment. Something remarkable begins to happen. Life starts to weave a path toward your desire in ways you could never have orchestrated on your own. This path is not random, nor is it the result of chance. It is what can be called the bridge of incidence, a perfectly ordered sequence of events, connections, and circumstances that unfold to bring you from your current state to the living reality of your wish fulfilled. The bridge is built by the unseen intelligence that governs creation, and it is constructed without your conscious effort. It works quietly, precisely, and often in ways that defy logic. This is why your only task after imagining and surrendering is to allow the bridge to form and to walk across it when it appears. The beauty of the bridge of incidence is that it is never something you could fully predict. Your rational mind might believe it knows the best way for your desire to come about, but the truth is your perspective is limited. You see only fragments of life's vast tapestry, while the unseen sees the entire picture. This is why forcing your own plan often leads to frustration. You are attempting to construct the bridge with incomplete blueprints, but when you release control, the bridge that appears will be the most direct, efficient, and harmonious path to your goal. Sometimes the bridge begins subtly. You may overhear a conversation that plants an idea in your mind. You might stumble upon an article, a video, or a message that points you in a new direction. You may be introduced to someone whose role in your journey will only become clear later. At first, these events might seem unrelated or even insignificant, but as time passes, you begin to notice how each moment was a perfectly placed stepping stone. Like puzzle pieces falling into place, every encounter and every event fits into the picture of your fulfillment. It is important to understand that the bridge of incidence is not something you must make happen. It is something you recognize and respond to. This is where trust becomes essential. Many people miss their bridge because they are too busy trying to force an entirely different route. They dismiss small opportunities because they don't look like the big break they were expecting, but the bridge is often made of humble beginnings. A single phone call, a chance meeting, an unexpected detour. These are the first planks of the bridge. If you walk them with faith, the rest will appear. The bridge also has a way of rearranging your world to make room for your desire. This rearrangement can sometimes look like loss, disruption, or change that you did not ask for. A job may end, a friendship may shift, a plan may collapse. At first, it can feel as though you are moving away from your desire, not toward it. But when you understand the nature of the bridge, you realize that these changes are not setbacks, they are alignments. Something old must often be cleared away so that the new can arrive. The bridge will never collapse under you. It will always carry you forward, even when the steps feel uncertain. And here is a truth that few realize. The bridge of incidence is built from the state you live in, not from the actions you take. If you remain in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, the bridge will be constructed for you, no matter what the outer circumstances may look like. Even if it appears that nothing is happening, even if weeks or months pass without visible progress, the unseen is at work. In the same way, a seed germinates underground long before you see the first sprout. Your bridge is forming in the invisible realm before it appears in the physical. One of the most liberating aspects of the bridge of incidence is that it removes the burden of figuring out how your desire will come to pass. The how is not your concern, it is the domain of the unseen. Your role is to maintain your inner state, to walk in faith, and to respond when steps present themselves. Imagine a person standing at the edge of a foggy path. They cannot see the entire route ahead, but they can see the first few steps. As they take those steps, the next few are revealed. This is how the bridge works. You do not need to see the whole way. You need only to trust the next step. The bridge often moves you in ways that seem unrelated to your desire, yet are essential to its fulfillment. You may be guided to learn a skill, to meet someone, to travel somewhere, or to take on an opportunity that feels tangential. Later, you will see how every detour was in fact the straightest route. This is why patience is such a powerful companion on the bridge. The impatient person tries to run ahead, only to find themselves off course. But the patient person allows each step to arrive in perfect timing, knowing that the bridge will never fail to carry them. Walking the bridge is also an act of discernment. Not every opportunity is part of your bridge, and not every distraction is worth your attention. The way to know is simple. If it aligns with the feeling of your wish fulfilled, it is part of the bridge. If it takes you into worry, fear, or compromise, it is not. This is why maintaining your inner state is so critical. It becomes your compass. When you live in the end, you naturally gravitate toward the steps that belong to you. It is worth noting that the bridge of incidence often includes what others might call coincidences or luck. You might call them divine appointments. A person you haven't spoken to in years reaches out with exactly the information you need. A delay in one area leads you to be in the right place at exactly the right time. A mistake in plans results in a meeting that changes everything. These are not accidents. They are the markers of the bridge. The more you notice them, the more they seem to multiply. And perhaps the most wonderful thing about the bridge is that it works for every kind of desire. Whether it's a change in circumstances, a specific achievement, a new relationship, or a profound inner transformation. The same unseen force that holds the stars in place is the one that constructs the steps toward your fulfillment. You are never without guidance, and you are never left to build the bridge alone. So after you've imagined your desire as already complete and surrendered it with trust, watch for the bridge. Pay attention to the gentle nudges, the small openings, the subtle shifts. Follow them without anxiety, knowing that every step is carrying you closer. And when a challenge arises on the bridge, remember, it is not a wall, but a curve in the path. Keep walking. The end you saw within is already certain, and the bridge will not fail to deliver you there. In time, you will look back on the journey and marvel at the perfection of it all. You will see how every delay was protection, every detour was direction, and every chance meeting was divinely orchestrated. You will realize that life itself had been conspiring in your favor all along, and that your only real work was to trust and walk. This is the gift of the bridge of incidence. It proves to you beyond all doubt that the unseen is real, that it is faithful, and that when you align with it, everything truly does fall into place. The trap of interference, one of the greatest dangers on the journey from desire to fulfillment, is the temptation to interfere with the process. You have imagined clearly, you have felt deeply, you have surrendered with faith, and the bridge of incidence has begun to form. Yet in a moment of impatience or doubt, the mind begins to whisper, maybe I should just help this along. Maybe I should push things into place. Maybe nothing is happening and I need to make something happen. This is the trap of interference, the urge to step in and take over what the unseen is already perfectly arranging. It may seem harmless at first, even logical. After all, the world teaches you that success is a result of relentless control and constant involvement. But in the spiritual process of creation, interference is often the very thing that delays, distorts, or even derails the manifestation you have been waiting for. Interference usually begins subtly. You start scanning the horizon for evidence, checking whether anything looks like it's moving. You second guess the timing. You analyze the behavior of others to see if they're aligning with your desire. You begin calculating scenarios, drafting backup plans, and plotting alternate routes. Without realizing it, you have shifted your attention from the state of the wish fulfilled to the state of lack. You are no longer living in the end, you are living in the question, in the uncertainty, in the absence. And the law responds to the state you occupy. When you step into worry, you invite more reasons to worry. When you move into control, you affirm that the outcome is not secure, and your reality mirrors that uncertainty back to you. The trap of interference is so powerful because it feels like action, and action makes you feel as though you are progressing, but there is a difference between inspired action and fearful interference. Inspired action flows naturally, arising from a calm and confident state. It comes as a gentle nudge, a sense of rightness, a quiet knowing that this is the step to take now. Interference, on the other hand, comes from anxiety. It is the restless, urgent, I must do something now or it won't happen feeling. It may look productive, but it is actually a sign that you have stepped out of faith and into doubt. Interference can take many forms. It can be trying to manipulate people into acting a certain way. It can be forcing conversations before their time. It can be making hasty decisions out of fear of missing an opportunity. It can even be overthinking, replaying scenarios in your head, and mentally micromanaging how the desire will unfold. All of these are signals that you are no longer trusting the unseen to carry you across the bridge. You are trying to build the bridge plank by plank with your own limited tools. And the moment you do, you weaken the structure that was already being built for you. One of the most deceptive aspects of interference is that it often masquerades as just being prepared or just being proactive. You tell yourself, I'm not forcing anything, I'm just exploring my options, but the real test is in the feeling behind the action. Are you acting from a place of inner peace or from fear that nothing is happening? Are you moving because it feels inspired or because you are afraid of standing still? If the answer is fear, then you are in the trap. True preparation does not disturb your state of fulfillment. It reinforces it. Interference disturbs it. The irony of interference is that it usually comes right before the manifestation would have appeared. Many abandon their state too soon, stepping in to fix something that was already aligning perfectly. Imagine planting a seed, and after several days of not seeing a sprout, you dig it up to check its progress. In doing so, you destroy the very growth that was taking place beneath the surface. This is exactly what happens when you interfere. You uproot the process before it can bear fruit. Interference also sends a mixed signal to the unseen. On one hand, you say, I trust it's done. On the other, you act as though it's not. The unseen responds to your dominant state, not your occasional moments of faith. If your dominant vibration is, I must make this happen, then the reality you receive will reflect that. More effort, more struggle, more delay. The process is not about doing more, but about doing less from fear and more from trust. To avoid this trap, you must learn to recognize the difference between the voice of faith and the voice of fear. The voice of faith is calm, steady, and certain. It doesn't rush you, it doesn't pressure you, it whispers, it is already done, walk in peace. The voice of fear is urgent, loud, and restless. It pushes you to act now, warns you of what could go wrong, and constantly asks, but what if it doesn't happen? Whenever you hear this voice, pause, take a step back, return to the end result in your imagination. Feel the relief and joy of it being done. Let that state replace the restlessness. Only from there should you take any action. Another way to overcome interference is to shift your focus entirely away from the how and onto the who. Who are you in the state of the wish fulfilled? How do you think, speak, and carry yourself as someone who already has what they desired? Live as that version of yourself now. When you do this, you naturally take the kind of actions that align with your desire, without forcing anything. The how then unfolds without strain because it matches the version of you that already exists in the end. It is also important to remember that appearances can be deceptive. Sometimes what looks like inactivity in the outer world is actually the most intense activity in the unseen. The bridge may be rearranging people, events, and circumstances in ways you cannot see yet. Interference is born from the illusion that nothing is happening when, in truth, everything is happening. If you could see the intricate web of connections forming on your behalf, you would never feel the need to intervene. This is why patience is one of your greatest allies. Patience is not passive waiting, it is active trust. It is the ability to remain in your state without demanding instant evidence. It is refusing to let the ticking clock shake your certainty. Patience is not about enduring delay, it is about living as though there is no delay. When you master this, interference loses its power over you, and here is the paradox. The less you interfere, the faster and smoother the process becomes. The unseen works best without your meddling. The very moment you stop trying to force the outcome, you make space for it to arrive. The bridge solidifies, the pieces fall into place, and what seemed distant suddenly appears with ease. It will often feel as though it came out of nowhere, but in truth it came from the state you maintained when you refused to interfere. So guard your state as you would guard a precious treasure. When the urge to interfere rises, see it for what it is, a test of your faith. Do not take the bait, return to the end in your imagination, dwell there until the feeling is real again, and let the unseen continue its perfect work. The trap of interference is only a trap if you walk into it. Step around it, and you will find yourself moving steadily, effortlessly, across the bridge toward everything you have desired. And when you arrive, you will understand that the greatest power was never in your ability to force things into place. It was in your ability to trust that they were already in place all along. Watch and receive. There comes a sacred point in the journey of manifestation where your work is no longer to plant seeds, to imagine, or to surrender, but simply to watch and to receive. This is the season where the invisible has already moved, the bridge of incidents is already unfolding, and the outcome is no longer in question. You have done the inner work, you have felt the wish fulfilled, you have refused the trap of interference. Now you step into the most beautiful, yet often the most challenging, posture of all, expectancy without strain. This is the stage where the world tells you to keep pushing, but the law of creation invites you to be still and witness the delivery. It is here that your role is not to chase but to stand, not to force but to allow, not to prove but to believe. For the unseen cannot deliver fully into hands that are clenched with effort. It places blessings in hands that are open in faith. To watch is not to wait idly in boredom or anxiety. Watching is an active awareness, an alertness of spirit that knows the delivery is inevitable. It is like a child on the night before a long, awaited birthday, not fretting over whether the gifts will arrive, but unable to hide the sparkle of anticipation. You wake each morning with the quiet thought, this could be the day. You walk into each interaction with the subtle knowing, this could be the conversation. You step into each moment as if heaven itself could break open at any time. This expectancy sharpens your perception, and suddenly you begin to notice the signs. What others dismiss as coincidences, you recognize as confirmations. What they call random, you call alignment. The very air feels charged with the nearness of your desire. The act of watching also requires that you become a witness to the subtle movements of life around you. The bridge of incidents rarely arrives with flashing lights and blaring trumpets. More often it comes in whispers and nudges, a phone call out of the blue, a chance encounter on an ordinary day, a piece of information overheard in passing. These are not interruptions, they are invitations, and the one who is watching with awareness will recognize them and respond. The one who is distracted with doubt will miss them entirely. This is why, even in the receiving stage, your inner state remains the foundation. You are not watching to see if it will happen. You are watching to see how it will happen, knowing that it already has. Receiving, too, is an art. Many are skilled at asking, but few are skilled at receiving. To receive requires an open heart, a willingness to let life bless you without guilt, doubt, or self-sabotage. How often have people prayed for opportunities, only to talk themselves out of them when they arrive? How many times has the blessing knocked at the door, but pride or fear kept it outside? To receive is to accept without apology, to embrace without hesitation, to say yes without needing to explain why you deserve it. For the truth is, you do not receive because you have earned it. You receive because you have aligned with it. Receiving also means allowing the outcome to appear in its own perfect form, not necessarily in the exact shape you imagine. This is where the heart must remain flexible. You may have seen your desire coming through one particular person, one particular channel, one particular scenario, but the unseen has infinite ways to deliver. If you hold too tightly to your own picture, you may reject the very form that holds the essence of what you asked for. The wise receiver focuses on the essence, not the packaging. If you ask for love, do not reject it because it comes through an unexpected meeting. If you ask for provision, do not turn it away because it came through a path you never considered. If you ask for healing, do not dismiss it because it arrived through a journey you did not plan. The package may surprise you, but the content will be exactly what you imagined and more. This stage of watching and receiving is also the season of gratitude before sight. Gratitude here is not an afterthought. It is the language of receivership. You give thanks not after it arrives, but before, as one who already holds it in the unseen. Gratitude sharpens your vision so that when the blessing appears, you see it clearly. The ungrateful miss their blessings because they look for perfection before they give thanks. The grateful recognize the blessing even in its seed form, and their gratitude multiplies it. In this posture, every sign along the way becomes a reason to rejoice. A small movement toward your desire becomes a celebration because you know it is proof that the delivery is near. And here lies one of the greatest joys of this stage, watching life work for you without your interference. You begin to see how people, places, and events are shifting on your behalf. You witness how a delay here creates an opening there. You watch as conversations you are not even part of move you closer to your goal. You realize that while you rest, the universe does not. That even in your stillness, everything is moving in perfect order. This deepens your trust and makes you bolder in your belief. You stop needing to control because you have proof, in the smallest and largest ways, that the unseen is faithful. There will, of course, be moments where nothing seems to be moving, where the waiting feels long. This is the moment where many step back into the trap of interference, but the one who has mastered watching knows that stillness on the surface does not mean inactivity beneath. Just as a tree grows roots before it shows leaves, your manifestation often grows in the unseen before it blooms in the physical. When nothing appears to be happening, you continue to watch, not with impatience, but with quiet certainty. You remind yourself the delivery is already on the way. My only role is to be here to receive it. The moment of receiving often comes with a strange sense of familiarity. You recognize it instantly because you have lived it already in your imagination. You may find yourself thinking, this feels like déjà vu, but it is not déjà vu. It is the outer catching up to the inner. The joy you feel in that moment is not the joy of surprise, but the joy of recognition. You are simply meeting in the physical what you have already embraced in the spiritual, and when you receive it, you do so fully, without holding back, without doubting whether it's real, without wondering if it will last. You claim it as yours because it has always been yours. Watching and receiving is not just the end of one journey, it is the beginning of another. Each fulfilled desire builds your faith for the next. Each time you witness the unseen become seen, your conviction deepens. You no longer doubt the process because you have walked it and lived the evidence. And this is how you begin to live not as one who occasionally manifests, but as one who lives in a constant flow of creation, planting, surrendering, allowing, watching, and receiving as naturally as breathing. So as you enter this final stage, lift your eyes with expectancy, let your heart remain open, refuse the urge to control the form, and instead, hold fast to the essence of what you have claimed. Watch with the delight of one who knows they are moments away from holding in their hands what they have already held in their heart, and when it comes, and it will receive it fully, boldly, and with overflowing gratitude. For in that moment, you will see the great truth this entire journey has been teaching you. You were never waiting for life to fall into place. Life was always waiting for you to stand in place long enough to receive it.